So Meta have today announced the release of the Quest 3 headset, their next generation VR headset. So here we're going to go through the introduction trailer that Meta have released, garner out all the information that we can, go through it, and there's some really cool information in here. So let's just get straight into this video. So the first thing you're going to notice actually before we dig into the video even more is how different it is from the Quest 2. So the controllers are significantly different, and even the headset looks different as well. I'm going to go into the differences as we kind of go through this video. So you notice on the front you've got these three different black lines at the front. Now as this kind of goes to the introduction, it breaks it down. So what you can see at the top on the two left hand sides, on the left and the right hand side, these are full color pass-through cameras. So for augmented reality games and experiences as they release those for the Quest 3, well, that's going to completely take it up a notch from the kind of monochrome experience that you get with the Quest 2. That one in the middle is a depth sensor, so your Quest 3 is going to be able to sense depth and actually have a far more immersive experience with your surroundings as well. And then you've got this kind of heat sink at the bottom, and you'll notice it's actually pretty thin as well. Oh, and also at the bottom here on the left and the right, you've only got two cameras here as opposed to the four that came with the Quest 2. So now if you compare the Quest 2 and the Quest 3 together, it's 40% slimmer. It is a significant difference between the Quest 2 and the Quest 3. That's mainly down to the pancake lenses that are in the Quest 3 that allow it to get an awful lot thinner. Now weight-wise, these are supposed to come in about the same weight as the Quest 2. But because it's thinner, it's going to feel lighter because that weight is going to be closer to your face rather than further away. Now here is a difference which I was really hoping they weren't going to do, but they have. On the Quest 3 on the right hand side, you can see that the charging port is integrated into the head strap. There's kind of a hole for it, which means that your Quest 2 head straps, if you've already got a Quest 2 and you've got a custom head strap, it's unlikely that it's going to fit the Quest 3. When I get the Quest 3, I might try drilling a hole, maybe through the Quest 2 head straps and seeing if they fit, but I'm not holding out any chances for that. So it does mean if you get a Quest 3, you're probably have to go through the whole rigmarole again of getting another third-party head strap from the likes of Kiwi Design and Bobo VR. And I'm not too sure what's going on with the surround here. I don't know if that's a fabric around the outside of the foam or whether that's a silicone cover. Again, we'll have to find out when that's actually released. The head strap, you would have just seen it very, very quickly if I just go back a bit. It's the same elasticated head strap kind of design as the original Quest 2. I wasn't a big fan of that original head strap, so we'll have to see what that's like when the Quest 3 actually comes out. So the Snapdragon process here is double the GPU processing power of the original Quest 2 chip. Now, all of the games that are coming out this year for it are coming out for the Quest 2 and the Quest 3. So you're not going to see any big graphical differences between the two. But as the years go on, or as the year goes on, it's going to be really interesting to see whether more powerful games start to come out for it and start to use that extra power. High resolution displays. Now, this is the pancake lenses and the high resolution display that's sitting behind it. Now, they don't go into any detail at the moment around what the resolutions of those displays are actually going to be. Rumor mill is that it's probably going to be around 20% higher resolution than the Quest 2. But again, those pancake lenses are also going to mean that instead of the Fresnel lenses that are on the Quest 2, you're going to get less of the those God rays, also that sort of star sunburst that you can get with the Quest 2. So again, the proof is going to be in the pudding when the Quest 3 is actually released. But you should get clearer and sharper visuals for it. Now this is where we start to break into that sort of augmented reality, and everyone talks about the metaverse. The fact that you can play a game like Demeo here and just put it on your living room tabletop or your coffee table there and just play a game is awesome. Now here's a big change: the controllers. There's no controller ring on these anymore. That's been completely removed. Now, it wasn't on the controller rings of the Quest Pro, so it's not really a surprise to see it, or not to see it on these controllers. What is surprising though is that there's no cameras on these controllers either, so I don't think anyone really knows how it's actually going to track itself when there's no ring, there's no cameras, we'll have to find out when it's actually released. I was trying to find out if there was a recharge port or a USB-C port on here for recharging the controllers here. It doesn't look like there is, so I think these are still going to be battery controlled. But without that ring, it does mean that they look super minute, minimal, and which would mean they're going to be a lot easier to control. Now, some of these games you would have seen in the showcase, you would have seen the Ghostbusters clip just back there. A lot of these games coming out look absolutely awesome. And a really big win for the Quest 3 here is that it is backwards compatible with all of your Quest 2 games. So unlike Sony's PSVR 2 when it's been announced and it's not backwards compatible with your PlayStation games, you're not going to lose any of your games from the Quest 2 into the Quest 3. And that's awesome for those people that have built up a library. I mean, the price wise here as well, $499. So that's a starting price of $499. So that's going to be for the 128 gig model, which is $100 more expensive than what the Quest 2 is now. But there's a lot more tech being put into the Quest 3. So for the extra $100, that's not actually a bad price. There's actually supposed to be another model which will probably be a higher storage model, so maybe a 256 or a 512. I'd probably expect that to come in at maybe an extra $100 on top of that, so maybe $599. Again, they haven't announced details of that, so expect that to be released, or the details of that to be released slightly closer to the time. They are, however, making a bit of a change to the pricing of the actual Quest 2. The release of this, so yeah, the Quest 3 is going to come out in the fall. So if you take the release date of the original Quest 2, that came out around October the 13th. So expect it to come out after the Meta Connect event. So yeah, I'd expect it around sort of mid-October. Now, they are making a change to the pricing. So the Quest 2 at the moment is $399. So as I said, the Quest 3 is $499, Quest 2 is $399 at the moment. As of the 4th of June, they are dropping the price of the Quest 2 by $100. So the base model of the Quest 2, the 128 gig model, is going to drop down to $299, which was the price that it was when it was originally released, but when it was originally released as a 64 gig model. So twice the storage for the original price. That means that there's now a $200 price difference between the Quest 2 and the Quest 3, $299 for the Quest 2, $499 for the Quest 3, and it looks like they're going to sell those side by side. So it gives people that want just an entry into VR with the Quest 2 a low price entry, and for those that want the next generation experience in VR, they can go and get that Quest 3 headset at $499. I am super excited to see what happens when this comes out in October. I will probably be first in line along with everyone else to get one of these and give it a go. And I don't think you're going to notice too much of a processing power difference because the games won't be optimized for it yet. I think that's going to take sort of like a year or so before that kind of happens. But the display improvements I'm really looking forward to. Those controllers I'm really excited to try. I hope that's really proved helpful to you. I hope it's given you a bit of an insight into what's coming in what is probably going to be October. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.